Hello, people of Middle Earth, or as it's called now, Earth. Welcome to episode 3 of our Rings of Power review series. काफी मजेदार हो चुका है, बहुत सारी चीजें हुई, इसलिए मैं पहले पूछूंगा तुम्हारे first thoughts. What do you guys think about the episode?
My first thought is, why am I on a call with Sauron?
Yeah.
I never thought the day would come कि मैं और सौरन एक जूम कॉल पे रहेंगे.
तेरा सौरन का आँख इतना गंदा क्यों है? ऐसे
सौरन का आँख इतना लंबा है.
You can't. हाँ. So then
you think
hold it down.
You think सौरन के आँख पे लेसिक हुआ है?
मैं तुम्हें अपने वश में कर लूंगा. अच्छा.
Now you're looking like Shakti Kapoor in Crime Master Go-Go dude.
अबे तेरा ब्रांड मास्टर टोटो बना. तो पहले एक बात बता बाबा, तेरे पीछे वैलेनोर क्यों है? और ये जो वैलेनोर के झाड़ से लाइट आती है वो क्यों है?
हम लोग मैं जगह जगह पे ट्रैवल करता हूँ एक हार फुट की तरह.
लेकिन तू है 4 फुट.
लेकिन मैं हूँ 4 फुट. So I am currently in digging a tunnel through some place.
Acha, so we'll get to that. But by the way, guys, y'all do know that the episode number 3 was titled Adar. Or as they call it, Adar. Who is going to be a very big character, but we'll speak about him in the end, as they did in the episode also. But first thoughts on the episode, क्या लगा? वाह.
मेरे को तो so I really like it because I think that the what we sort of expected and wanted is happening, which is that there's like tons of stories now opening up, like tuck. They've done what they said. They said हो गया अभी चलो घुसते हैं story में. So I'm truly loving it. I'm also going to cook a nice little crow for y'all to eat when it turns out that the person is Gandalf.
That's not happening, but I'll give you the fact that in the last episode you said that the person on the ship could be Isildur's father, which actually ended up being true. So high five, Baba. Good research on Reddit. But as we found out, Elendil was the guy on the ship who eventually took Halbrand and Galadriel with him. And he is the father of Isildur. Who is Isildur? Isildur is the guy who actually managed to knock the ring off Sauron's finger at the beginning of Lord of the Rings. So really nice Easter egg setup. And they go straight into one of the most beautiful shots I've seen in the series. And that is establishing Numenor.
Yeah. And you almost start to get remnants of Lord of the Rings, right? You're like, I have seen this in a completely different avatar, right? Like a completely different way of looking.
That's so true that you pointed out, because if you look at the architecture and the way they've shown it, a lot of that you'll see flavors of in Gondor, which eventually people from Numenor sort of migrate to Isildur, right? After the Isildur when he goes there. So a lot of those remnants are seen.
That's why it was called
architecture.
That's why it was called Gondor, because they went there. So they went Gondor.
Wow. They had gone there. Please, we'll never make Baba in charge of naming places
from Middle Earth.
He's gone there. He's in Lindon. बोलते रहेगा. नहीं, लेकिन Numenor, guys, I think another very big, massive facet of this specific series is going to be Numenor, the Numenorians, their relationship with the elves, and the eventual downfall of Numenor that we can all predict is happening. They've already started sowing the seeds.
Correct.
So what do you guys think about that entire exchange between the Numenorians and elves? Because now suddenly another part of the story is established where they tell you about the elves and the Numenorians who joined forces to eventually defeat Morgoth, right?
Yeah.
And as a gift, they were given this
land,
the city, land of Numenor. It's also called the Land of the Star. You see that 5-pointed star, which is there also on a lot of their weapons and stuff like that. But then you also see growing resentment between the Numenorians and elves who were once shoulder to shoulder against Morgoth.
But also they were granted the boon of living twice as long as normal adults.
Correct.
So they lived to 200, which is a weird recharge to have.
No, that's the thing, right? Because on one end you have elves who basically can live forever.
Immortal.
Right? They are immortal. And Numenorians were given that extended lifespan, shelf life. But I
Correct.
think over the
बैटरी पैक
course,
दिया उन लोगों को, बैटरी पैक.
हाँ, लेकिन उन लोगों को टेंशन है कि बैटरी पैक खत्म हो जाएगा, फिर चार्ज कौन करेगा,
फिर
तो
charge कौन
उसके लिए
करेगा?
उनका एक रिजेंटमेंट बढ़ते जा रहा है. You also saw the tower where they kept all the records, right? And because Numenorian, the last Numenorian king who sided with the elves, has now been sort of excommunicated and put under house
House
arrest.
arrest.
Not
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and the other thing was the like just the fact that like there is this one mystery that's started about why the rift has happened. Like they don't know in the show as yet what is the reason. Also, there was that fun little thing about the history of Numenor and how it concerns with Elrond.
Correct.
So
Correct.
it was Elrond's twin brother Elros who founded Numenor, and very interestingly, he had a choice. Like both the brothers had a choice that they could either choose to be elves or they could choose to be humans. And Elros chose to be human, and Elrond chose to be an elf. And that's also sort of doubly significant because of what's happened in the previous episode, where
Right.
like in the previous episodes where he's been like, you can see that the sort of the pain or misunderstanding that Elrond has, concerning immortality and mortal beings was
Correct.
also reflected in his own relationship with his brother. So that's a very interesting sort of like parallel.
Correct. And also, like you've seen sort of Galadriel and Halbrand who are taken to this place. Automatically, you see Numenorians looking at Galadriel, be like, "Arey, ye elf ko kisne andar aane diya?" And you know that eventually you find out that Elendil, which in Old Elvish means friend of the elf,
Of elf. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
That's the other one.
he's also supposed to be a part of a bunch of people there who side with the
faithful.
elves, called the faithful, and they literally say it, okay, be the faithful, or like some of us the faithful, who are going to be very important when eventually the fall of Numenor happens, and how these guys then end up sort of siding with the elves again.
What's also going to be great is now they'll also open up Isildur's arc, right? Like in terms of why Isildur had left, had left Numenor or Gondor, and then decided that he's going to, be part of the Fellowship, so to speak. So that arc opening up is also great. And what Kautuk is saying is, while they've seeded these little nuggets about why the elves and the people of Numenor have had this rift, something about somewhere where there was a ship in the past that was turned away, but nobody knows why that ship was turned away, and why they slowly stopped trading with the elves, right? And I think that when that part opens up, it's going to be fairly interesting, because it'll tie up later when the elves and the people get back together.
Yeah, just sorry, one other thing that it's an image that just stands out from the episode, right? When Elendil is taking Galadriel to the library on that horse.
What beautiful sequence!
Those horse beauty shots, my God, dude.
Oh, love it. बस मस्त था, लेकिन मेरे को बहुत मस्त लगा. Full high speed shot लिया है, थोड़ा भाग रहा है. I haven't seen Galadriel smile that much.
Yeah.
In the first 3 episodes, as much as I did in that 2-minute sequence of her riding the horse. But again, this whole setup between Numenorians versus elves becomes very important, because again, a lot of theories going around how Sauron basically decides to sort of fool the Numenorians into attacking Valinor with the promise that, listen, I know the secrets on how to forge this ring that will give you immortality, something you've always craved for. And then he manages to trick the Numenorians into attacking the elves, creating that rift. Same thing he tries to do with them, because even if you remember, Celebrimbor is trying to create that forge in the episode 1 or 2 with Elrond, right? When he's in the tower, he's talking about the forge. They want to create this really strong magical power so that their realm can continue, because even though elves are immortal, places around them still need that longevity. So that's a great point for Sauron to come in and sort of fill the ears of both parties and then set them fighting against each other.
Correct.
Dude, also this thing, that whole the track with Isildur, right?
Hmm.
Where you first see him on the boat, right? And you hear a voice.
Coming
Hmm.
from some distance. It's like a
Yeah.
female's voice, right? Coming
Yeah.
from
Yeah,
a
like a
distance.
so they used to call this the call of the siren in
Hmm.
mythology, where the siren was a mythical creature that would call out your name, and and this would happen out at sea,
Yes.
and it would draw sailors in to their doom. So
Hmm.
it's this weird call. We don't know what it is yet, but it's like this weird missed call that happens. He
Hmm.
hears it, but then he can't answer in time.
आपको क्रेडिट कार्ड चाहिए नहीं चाहिए
Yeah.
यार मैं
No,
मिडिल
but
यहाँ
but
पर
this
यहाँ
but
पर
the but
मशीन नहीं आई
the
है अभी तक
but
लेकिन
the
हमारे
call of
पास
the
रिंग है
but the call of the siren is always considered also to be something that the sailor themselves conscious their subconscious wants them to hear because of the sound wind makes when it sort of goes through thin passages along the ship, right?
Yeah,
And so
and you can see that Isildur is damn happy with this voice.
correct.
But then his drill sergeant is like, "Hey, Isildur, idhar dekh."
इधर no but like for fans of the movies, right, like this Easter egg coming in of Isildur, for example,
Yeah,
like gets like hardcore fans super excited
yeah.
because you're like, bhai, this is the guy who eventually cuts off the ring from Sauron's finger,
Dude,
right?
it
And
is
now
Correct.
he
so
started off
weird.
very plainly as this seaman, so to
As
speak.
an
Yeah.
intern, as an
Intern,
intern
Intern.
seaman.
Yeah.
So everybody watching, if you are an intern just out of college applying for a job, don't worry, keep at it because someday you might reach a position as powerful as somebody who has killed Sauron. So keep at
Correct.
it.
इसके लिए
It's,
उसका नाम इसिल्डूर है, इसके लिए वो इसलिए दूर गया वो.
Oh,
You would have said.
on fire.
and that's it from this episode for. So yeah, a lot of Easter eggs. I think I read somewhere also on one of the forums about how they've suddenly also introduced Isildur's sister, who's supposedly not,
Not a-
there in not a character, not in the
Non-canonical,
book. So
yeah.
it's I think a show only perspective, and the fact that they've managed to bring her in won't just be for no reason, right? There has to be something
Some reason
going
for her to
on.
be there.
So that's going to be really interesting.
I have a my
Suspicion.
theory. Yeah, I think it's not going to be a good reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
my theory was
I
it was
think
going
it's
to be a good reason. You tell me yours, I'll tell you mine. So I'll get my theory out of the way because it's a good one and it'll be bad. As in, it is a good one, but it'll be not great. So my theory is that she will help the elves build that eternal thing that they sort of want to build, and that's why she's gotten into the Council of Architects.
I think it
Sauron.
might. No. That it's not that. But like, I think she'll be casualty, and I think it'll be such a powerful moment that
Force
is
for
going to
Isildur.
it's going to transform Isildur and his father. So I think it's yeah. I think if you've got a non-canonical character and it's so close to someone this important in canon,
Might be a catalyst for something big that'll
Yeah.
happen. But also, go ahead.
No, I just also wanted to talk about that whole Halbrand sequence.
I was going to get to Halbrand.
Dude, that rated R sequence that just suddenly happened. Holy moly.
Yeah, like you thought, again, he's this reluctant guy. He's not going to do much. He just wants to be away. Because she keeps pointing out the locket that he's wearing, which has the sigil, which is representative of the royalty from the Southland, the kings who sided with Morgoth. Right, so he's sort of that reluctant hero, very much like Viggo Mortensen's Aragorn in the movies, where he doesn't want to. He's very reluctant. He doesn't want to take part or be involved in any of this, but then he eventually ends up becoming. So same thing they have done with Halbrand. I think now my suspicion of Halbrand being Sauron is out.
But wait. So in this episode, they did one very interesting thing where he's looking for a job, and guess which job he applies for? He applies to be a forger.
Oh.
Guess who else wants to forge certain artifacts?
But that's what they keep doing. They keep sending you these small hints so that you think it's a misdirect, but then, oh wait, but he also said that. The reason I feel, right, in one of the trailer posters, I think, they've shown Halbrand with a sword, okay? The pommel of which is a horse head. Right? Which is very symbolic of the Witch King of Angmar.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
remember?
yeah.
So
Also,
वो भी theory है that he might be the Witch King of Angmar, or if not him, if Theo does end up becoming his son, I feel he will sort of sacrifice himself and become the Witch King, and then let Theo go on a path to good rather than evil. That could be a
Correct.
possibility.
wow, that's the best thing that the Witch King ever did.
No, he became Witch King. No, उसके पहले कर दिया उसने वैसे. That's the theory.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Which king are we talking about?
The one of Angmar.
Oh.
Ah. But so
no,
that
should,
Halbrand
sorry.
sequence we were talking about, Kautuk.
Yeah, so that Halbrand sequence, right? So firstly applies to be a forger, and when he is told that he can't join because he doesn't have the required uh, training, he decides to do forgery. No, he doesn't. He decides to
He
steal it.
does steal it. Yeah.
And then so that whole sequence in the alleyway, right, where
Hmm.
you suddenly realize that this guy at least
Is
has
something.
he has the potential to be immeasurably cruel,
Hmm.
right? When pushed into a corner, when
And he tries to be away from it. He
Yeah,
says,
he-
"Listen, I don't want any trouble." He gives them a chance, and when people say stuff like that, right, you know what's coming next.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want any trouble. रहने दो, माफ कर दो, छोड़ दो, जाने दो.
No, he
नहीं.
also, after the first time, he's like, you don't want to do this.
हाँ.
Like, he almost like wants them saying, you don't want to do this. And
Bro,
then,
listen, something, there is, I love this, like how every street fight in the universe, okay, begins with one guy shoving the other guy into some third guy's chest.
Just.
who then comes and
Always.
holds him.
Yeah,
For this
always.
guy to be punched.
So that was fun. But it was also like when you saw that, right? Like there is no way, like, violence when used in that particular way, right? It's very quick, and it's brutal in the way that violence really is, right? And when it's kind of depicted in that way, you know that this character is not like, it wasn't a heroic it wasn't a heroic sort of like a presentation of power. It wasn't just like justified, because if you remember, he was in the wrong in that situation.
Yeah.
So whatever that was, it's this character is not either he's extremely gray or he's dark.
Yeah,
So-
and Galadriel really hopes that he's going to accompany her to
Correct.
Middle Earth. And you see that entire sequence happening where she's like, you were pretending to want to stay here. I kept feeling that this is not his ultimate goal, right? Obviously, he has the, what do you call it, like the silver tongue to get out of situations. So he tries to do that, ends up getting caught again. Now he's in jail there. So that's going to be interesting to see if she actually agrees to accompany Galadriel to Middle Earth in her quest or not.
Yeah, also
So-
like
So I have a real question. Thakur, you sort of hinted it. Do you really believe that Halbrand is the Witch King? Like, do you think that it's possible? Could
Yeah.
become the Witch King of Angmar?
Possible. I gave you the reason, right? मैं
The
जो थोड़ा
horse.
देख रहा था, fan theories पढ़ रहा था, that seemed quite this, because dude, there are some hardcore fans of the show out there who will point out the smallest thing that most of us don't even see. Like this Pommel example, I didn't see it. It's only when I read that I realized that yes, now that's quite a substantiative theory.
and also like another sort of like maybe a justification is the fact that if like let's just look at it like in terms of titles, right? The Witch King of Angmar. So the other thing that's hinted at in this episode is that Halbrand is royalty.
Yeah.
He's a king of the Southlands, which is why he doesn't have, when he said that he didn't have a king that he served, it's because he was the king. So just that sort of like royalty lineage, and if he turns dark, then maybe that's a good theory. The other thing that I found was very clever in the episode was when Galadriel goes to the library, right? And they pull out all these resources,
Scrolls.
and then they find out the
But
sigil.
that was so cool. It was one
Yeah.
of those like moments, right? Because
Yeah.
none of us remember seeing the map like from a top view looking down. right?
Yeah,
It seems like sort of a spear sort of situation that,
Correct,
oh, that's
correct.
his. We thought we started linking it to Theo's sword,
To
remember,
Theo's
which
thing.
was,
Yeah.
and then turns out they just flipped it. They're like, no, none of this is it. It's actually a map when looked at from above.
Dude, you know
Right?
something which makes it very funny, because like Sauron is leaving the map around so that he can remember कि नहीं नहीं Southland जाने का भाई. Like this would not be a thing if Google Maps existed.
उसके
In
पास
the
No,
एक
so my
put
question is
directions to
now.
Mordor. Sir,
Yeah.
Mordor's not made yet. Okay, Southlands then, I
Southlands.
guess.
Take
So the-
go straight, take left, come to roundabout.
Dig a
the
hole,
question-
go with orcs, then show up other side.
So the real question
Sorry, wow.
is no. So the real question I was going to ask is that if we're talking about what were we talking about, the border, no, उसके पहले एक second अभी हम लोग बात कर रहा था.
The
The
sigil,
sigil.
which
Ah,
actually is the map as
the-
looked at from above.
Correct. So now, if the sigil is actually the sigil of the Southlands, do you remember when the stranger pointed out the stars and he drew a map? Like, is it the other way around or something
Yes,
like
I
that?
think no, but like for him exactly, because one debate we had that maybe that is Sauron returned, okay,
But it's
or
not.
he might be somebody totally different who wants to go to that specific thing, and he's trying to show the Harfoots that listen, this is where I want to go. They think it's a constellation,
Correct.
but it could possibly be the map to the Southlands, which eventually becomes Mordor. Right. And it's also very interesting when you see the map and stuff from above, right? You sort of realize why Sauron would choose that specific part apart from realms of men being easily corruptible and all of that jazz, is that it's a very fortified area. Aju Baju sub mountain. So देखो एक natural fortification मिलता है for your palace
Correct.
or whatever you
Correct,
eventually end up making.
Barad-dur.
That'll be really good to see. So yeah, a lot of interesting things when it came to Numenorians and the elves and Sauron's eventual plans. But before we go to the orcs digging the tunnel in the Southlands, let's talk about the entire sequence between the Harfoots and Meteor Man. That because
Yeah.
Harfoots now
And-
begin
Stop
their
calling him Meteor Man, guys. He's Gandalf. I don't understand this.
So that
Gandalf. Baba, we can't do this for 8 episodes.
Okay, fine. He's Gandalf, dude. I mean, come on, he is. I don't know when we all will agree. You want his beard to grow out, only then you'll agree.
I don't think so. I mean, I would be very
Yeah.
surprised if he was.
If he's Gandalf.
But also like that whole track began with the introduction of the migration, which
Which, by the way, is damn cool when they show you the top shot and you just like, no, it's towards the end, but in the top shot where you see
But
them sort of
I
walk,
love how the Harfoots, even the Harfoots ka introduction
cute.
sequence, the way it's that nice breather, like the fun, cute, like happy parts between all the drama and like the action sequences and all the evil that is spread around. So Harfoot sequences are really cute, but what I especially like is their way that they camouflage themselves.
That's what I'm saying. That's the one I'm talking
It's
about.
a very beautifully, like even technically, a very beautifully designed sequence. Even their introduction. Remember when the hunters go through their lands and they're walking, and you're like, oh, everything is normal, and then suddenly these guys show up. That they were under the guise of what looked like a tree, but it's actually their hut in disguise. So I really like that entire sequence.
and like in this migration, right? So it's a very like sort of like law of the jungle thing. Like even when wildebeest or any kind of like animal like that, when they migrate, the ones at the back are the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
And even in this situation, Nori's father has got his foot mangled by Meteor Man, so they're
Which she
forced
doesn't
at
know yet. Which she doesn't.
She doesn't know that yet.
She thinks he's a friend, and he maybe didn't do it on purpose, or he didn't intend to do it. But the minute he moved that stick in episode 2, uska pair toota. So there must definitely be some sort of connection.
It's the same thing that Gandalf also can do. So I'm saying it is. You're not understanding. Carry on.
So no, and eventually, like that sequence where they have the final night in the settlement, where they are also remembering all the past Harfoots who have lost their lives in all sorts of different ways, right? Where they read out the list and the reason. Someone went with bees. So that was like a heartfelt moment. And then finally, you know what I found was hilarious, and this is, I think, intentional. So at the end of that sequence, all the wagons have gone ahead, and Nori's family is left behind.
Yeah, slowly.
And that's where from under the wagon comes out the giant.
But I was sure that was going to happen.
100%.
Like the minute they firstly, like they broke their own laws and pardoned Nori and her family from being sort of uncaravaned or decaravaned, as they call it. They allowed them to be at the absolute back. I'm like, they are going to be in some sort of danger at some point, and then Meteor Man is going to be like,
But what I liked about that sequence particularly was the fact that, so when he appears, right, the conversation that the kids have with the parents is very much the same conversation that you would have with your parents regarding a pet.
Yeah, that's so true.
They're like, can we keep it, please? Please. I'll take care of it. I'll take it for walks.
Yeah, that's so true. It's a great observation.
Yeah. No, but so let's wait till Gandalf becomes.
But then, like after all of this, we come to obviously the person on
the
whom
money
the
shot
episode is named. Who they didn't show us very cleverly. Prime Video, you just showed him in a very out of focus sequence, and I'm like, abhi dikhega, nahi hai. So wo episode 4 mein
I got insanely curious, and I've stalked the internet on who is Adar.
And
apart from getting a lot of other Malik links.
Adar Malik, stand-up comedian, musician, actor.
So
part of this.
And Orc Head.
Orc Head. A couple of very, very like completely, of course, because they're fan theories, they're all over the place, right? But some of the really interesting ones were that Adar is Sauron himself.
Yeah, but just the name is different right now, but he's Sauron, but I don't think he is.
I don't think he is.
Can I tell you one thing? Can I tell you something? So if you watch the trailer, okay, the trailer of the series, at the point in the trailer where the voiceover says the word Sauron, you see Adar's hand. Like the hand that's there, meaning the shot of his hand in this particular episode. I don't want to make
but I don't think they'll get Sauron in like in episode 3. Usko thoda Easter egg, thoda ye jhalak
no, so there
baad mein aayega. I think he's more like a mid boss. Khere main boss ke pehle
here is the conversation that where a lot of fan theories are going things saying that Adar is the other villain. Sauron is not the only villain in this season. So Adar is the other villain, right? The other thing about Adar is that they were saying that Adar is actually an elf.
He is a fallen elf.
Yes. So now if he is a fallen elf, then could it also be Sauron? You know, like could it develop to like is he someone who needs couple of things like Theo's blood and all of this to become Sauron, and he's just currently or digging this tunnel to get somewhere. So there's some like super like interesting.
I think it's a misdirect. I think they are making us giving you all of these clues, making you think that 1 second Sauron was also supposedly an elf. Adar is an elf, big guy, orcs are bowing down to him. He is Sauron, and then boom, they're going to be like, no, it's not Sauron. Sauron to abhi aane wala. So I have a feeling, but you get a glimpse of what he is doing.
The other thing is, there was somebody, I think, like you said, super fans. In one of it, they were saying that in Sindarin, Adar actually means father.
Yeah.
So is there something there? So there's a lot of these like fan theories that are coming, and I'm like super excited because I couldn't control myself only. I was like, "ये कौन है आदमी मेरे को जानने का अब भी."
नहीं तो मैं वापस एपिसोड 4 का प्रीव्यू भी देते हैं ना प्राइम वीडियो, तो मैं वो भी क्लिक किया, मतलब अभी तो थोड़ा एक शक्ल दिखा, उसमें भी नहीं दिखा है,
ऑफ कोर्स नॉट,
उसके लिए एपिसोड 4 के लिए रुकना पड़ेगा. बट देन यू आल्सो गॉट अ ग्लिम्प्स इनटू व्हाट द ऑर्क्स वर डूइंग, व्हाट इज द टनल, व्हाट इज द रीजन. ऑब्वियसली वन ऑफ द मेन रीजंस is that orcs
and the whole deforestation, dude.
Yeah, they can't go in sunlight really messes them up, so they have to build it underground to avoid detection, and all of that. You also find out where Arondir was taken. Arondir and a whole bunch of other elves who are in the watchtower have now been taken captive by the orcs and are being used to dig the tunnels for them. And there's a very interesting sequence where I forget the guy, one of the elves who eventually dies, Hano or something. Hano, right?
Yeah, the watch commander.
And he refuses to go and cut the roots of a tree, right? And he's like, this tree has earned its place here. It's been here long before you guys scourge the earth, right? So we are not going to do it. Again, that reference to how in Tolkien's world, deforestation of any kind signifies evil. A lot of those underlying tones of environment protection again seen here, that the elves decide they are not going to do it. तो कुछ भी अगर मार दे हमको, हम झाड़ नहीं काट रहे, which is a big thing. But then you actually see around there, Maro one hammer on it. Then you realize that they are trying to figure a way to sort of beat the elves.
Escape.
Beat the orcs. And that entire sequence, right, was really, really well done. It was a very coolly shot. Cinematically really good to look at. Perfect use of high speed shots. That drama is still building. That tension is still there. Will they manage? Won't they manage? How will they do it? So that was really cool.
No, also just the when the orc comes forward and he's like, you have shown courage, therefore you have earned water ration.
Water.
Okay, and you knew something was up.
Yeah, I'm like, so your initial thought goes to the water is poison.
It's poison, correct.
Or something like
that's their initial thought also. They keep looking, ye piyo ki nahi piyo, matlab ye aur kitna acha kyun ban raha hai mere saath.
Perfect bait and switch. And and that's exactly it, right? It would be the most like subverting the most expectations if he gave the water and it was just water.
Just water, and they all had it, and orcs didn't do anything.
And then they shook hands.
And they like, कुछ खाने को कुछ चाहिए आपको, अब सब ठीक है.
चाय समोसा आ रहा है.
They were like, okay, आज से तुमको 10 minute का break मिले. वो, so my other question is,
like orcs don't do carrot and stick, they do stick and stick.
My thing is, if the orcs can't do sunlight, then why are you cutting trees? Because trees will give you shade, no?
But
trees also protect the land and a host of other things, and they don't care. They care more about their tunnel. उनको झाड़ा है बीच में नहीं फर्क पड़ा. उनको hoodie पहनते ना. I love how orcs wear the hoodies and they still come out.
No, I was thinking about that. Like when they introduced the Nazgul and the Witch King and all at some point, like you think there'll be a scene where they have those robes, na? तो उसका नाप ले रहे हैं Nazgul का. टेलर आके बनाएगा. That whole thing.
But lot of amazing things set up. I think now the series is also coming to a point where we as an audience are also getting to find out a lot more of the history, a lot more of foreshadowing as to what could happen. And with every episode and all of these small things that they keep putting, whether it's misdirection or like subtle hints as to what we think a character is eventually going to become, I think it's poised at a nice thing. I'm most excited about episode 4 because I really hope they show me Adar's face.
No, they will.
मैं देख रहा अभी दिखे और बंद कर दे उन लोग कि नहीं भाई episode 4 में दिखाएंगे. So really kicked about episode 4. I think that's it from this episode. Anything else from episode 3 that we missed out on?
No, I think except that now they should just call him Gandalf.
No, but all you guys watching, if you guys have any fan theories, if you guys think Meteor Man is Gandalf, or if you think Adar is actually going to be Sauron, or is Halbrand going to be the Witch King of Angmar, let us know in the comments what your theories and hopes and expectations are. And if we missed out on anything, please let us know that as well. That's it.
And also, if you think Galadriel is going to be Galadriel, then tell us that also. So that's also important.
Everybody in the comments, right? Galadriel is going to be Galadriel. All right. On that note, that's it from this episode of our Rings of Power review series. This was episode 3. We'll see you guys again next week. In the meantime, don't forget to watch the Rings of Power every Friday on Prime Video. Things are getting interesting. They're getting heated up. We are almost at the halfway point of the series. So don't miss it. Watch it and come rewatch it and review it with us. And we'll see you again next week. Till then, tada, bye-bye, good night. Take care.
Guys, there was this internet phenomena where people would put up pictures and then you would find out that object in the picture was actually cake.
Yes.
I feel like doing that with every character except, is this Sauron?
And you think it's Sauron, but it's eventually cake.
Cake.